The most talked about matchup in boxing right now isn't a title fight. It's a spectacle with real stakes. Gervonta Tank Davis versus Jake Paul is being pitched as an exhibition, but the consequences are anything but pretend. The size gap is extreme, the money is massive, and the reaction across the sport has been explosive. Stay with us as we break down what's really at play, who benefits, and why both men can't afford a bad night. Drop your prediction in the comments, hit follow for updates, and tell us, is this a business masterclass or a risk that could haunt a champion? Terence Crawford put it bluntly, Tank Davis versus Jake Paul is a business move, not a real fight. He doesn't see two men trying to tear each other apart. He sees two stars stepping in to make a lot of money while giving fans a show. Crawford's view is rooted in the fundamentals. In one corner is a lightweight destroyer who campaigns around 135 pounds. In the other is a cruiserweight-sized boxer who walks around near 200 pounds. On paper, that's not a contest, it's an exhibition. Crawford acknowledges Jake's size and power and fully respects Tank's explosiveness and skill, but he keeps coming back to the same point. This is about entertainment and revenue, not rankings and belts. That tension, sport versus spectacle, sits at the center of this entire event. And it's why so many fighters and analysts are weighing in, often with mixed emotions. Emiliano Vargas, one of the sharpest young voices in the game, captured the new reality. He said Jake Paul understood early that boxing in 2025 is driven by attention. It's not only about pound-for-pound lists anymore. It's about how many eyeballs you command, how much buzz you create, and whether you can turn social media into pay-per-view. The truth stings. There are world champions who've given their lives to this sport and will never see a fraction of what Jake is making. Vargas isn't hating, he's explaining. If you control the conversation, the money follows. That withering clarity has made some fans bristle. Is this real boxing? Is it rigged? Those whispers got loud enough that Jake Paul started calling out critics, and even taking legal action, to swat down claims his fights are fixed. The counterpoint from those who've seen him up close is simple. The guy can punch. He's bigger and quicker than many think, and he throws a legitimately heavy right hand. People still talk about footage and stories from his time sharing a ring with Mike Tyson. Moments where both seem to throttle down rather than go for a kill shot. You could sense the exhibition guardrails at work. That's part of why the debate around this Tank fight is so charged. On one hand, you can treat it as controlled sparring between stars. On the other, it takes only one clean shot for a viral clip to rewrite the narrative forever. Ask a fighter for a pick, and you'll hear hesitation. One voice said he'd lean Jake by youth. Another admitted he's tuning in because he just wants to see how the size gap plays out. Even among pros, the curiosity is real. What happens when a small, elite technician meets a much bigger, improving puncher in a ring where the result won't touch their official record? That brings us to the basics. What is an exhibition fight? In most exhibition formats, there's no official winner readout and no impact on a fighter's professional record. It's not a sanctioned, championship-level bout. But that doesn't mean it's pillow fighting. You can still get hurt. You can still get knocked down, or knocked out. And if something wild happens, the internet won't care whether judges were seated or if the rounds were labeled exhibition. A wobble can become a meme. A stumble can become a storyline. In 2025, perception moves faster than paperwork. Showbiz the adult, never shy about calling the moment, argued that Tank Davis cannot treat this like WWE theater. He believes the stakes for Tank are enormous, even if the fight is labeled for show. If Jake clips Tank and gives him Bambi legs, that moment will explode online and linger far longer than any explanation about weight classes or exhibition rules. Showbiz said Tank's team is preparing like it's a world title defense, because the only safe posture here is total seriousness. If your name is Tank Davis, you can't show up for a payday and jog the rounds. The internet doesn't forget, and legacy, especially for a fighter who prides himself on precision and power, can't be insulated by the phrase exhibition fight. On the flip side, he warned, Jake Paul's brand can't afford a timid spar. Those who call him a YouTuber boxer won't let up if he coasts through a tepid 8 rounds with Tank. If this devolves into tag and touch, Jake's stock plunges. That's why Showbiz expects Jake to hunt a knockout. Not because he's reckless, but because he understands the economy of attention he helped build. Viral beats cautious. Drama beats distance. The only thing worse than losing in a shootout would be exiting a high-profile PPV without a single moment that breaks the internet. Danny Garcia and other voices have described the matchup as more entertainment than sport. They're not wrong. The intrigue isn't built on competitive parity. It's built on the question of whether the smaller man's elite skill can check the bigger man's raw force. That question sells. And for Tank, some believe this could be one of his final blockbuster events before walking away with generational money. Use a marquee exhibition to cash a life-changing check, protect your professional record, and return to the fights that define your era, or retire on top. From a business perspective, that's a savvy play. From a purist's point of view, it's not the kind of matchup that cements a legacy. Still, this isn't a one-way street. Plenty of veterans point out that Tank has sparred far bigger men for years. Light heavyweights, taller, ringier fighters. The idea of him sharing a ring with a much larger opponent isn't new. The difference now is that every exchange will be filmed, clipped, and hot-taked in real time. One wrong move becomes a punchline. One highlight becomes a crown jewel. There's another storyline woven through this build-up: respect for Jake Paul's improvements. When he first showed up, most of the sport rolled its eyes. A content star crashing into combat sports? The skepticism was loud and deserved. But the longer he stayed in the gym, the more he answered. You can see it in how he strings combinations now, how he understands distance, how he sets up that right hand. More importantly, his audience followed him. That's rare. Many try to cross over and lose their base. Jake brought his base with him, and that loyalty translates directly into pay-per-view sales and negotiation leverage. If that gives you WWE vibes, you're not alone. Ryan Garcia has said matchups like this can make boxing look scripted. Nate Diaz doesn't hide his skepticism either. He shrugs at the spectacle, says Tank's too small for Jake, and makes it clear he's more interested in real fights where both men come to settle something deeper than a paycheck. Still, Diaz admits he'll watch. Because everyone watches. You can call it entertainment, a money grab, or a circus. People will stream it, clip it, and argue about it for weeks. Numbers tell another part of the story. Talk around the industry suggests Paul's promotion will shoulder most of the event costs, site fee, marketing, production, and then reap the rewards if the buy rate pops. Figures tossed around in interviews range from $20 million to $40 million for Tank, with some expecting a 60-40th split depending on final PPV projections and sponsorships. If you're Tank Davis and someone offers you tens of millions to show up for a fight that doesn't touch your pro record, that's hard to turn down. As one fighter said, you'd be happy in that position. Most of us would be. But underneath the money talk is a prickly theme that Leonard Ellerbe has addressed for years. Tank's matchmaking isn't dictated by Twitter. He's not ducking Shakur Stevenson. He's not ducking Vasily Lomachenko. Boxing is a business with promotional borders, network alliances, and purse math that has to make sense. Ellerbe points to on-record comments from Bob Arum years back about not needing to go outside top rank to make big fights for Lomachenko or Shakur. Lomachenko himself once questioned what was in it for him to face Tank when Tank hadn't yet broken out as a pay-per-view force. These things change over time. The same "nothing in it for me" eventually becomes "let's do it" when the demand and the dollars align. That's how this sport has always worked. It's also why the Davis versus Paul talks have simmered for months. Both camps have been aware of what this spectacle could do globally. Even with the size gap and the exhibition label, the matchup hits every modern keyword: crossover fight, social media buzz, PPV blockbuster, viral knockout potential. Analysts say that's exactly why it was attractive on both sides. For Jake, it's the clearest proving ground yet, a young, active pound-for-pound level fighter, not a retired legend or a faded name from another sport. For Tank, it's a chance to plant a flag in the wider culture and be the face of boxing for a weekend that stretches beyond the usual audience. There's a fair amount of talk about timing, too. Some online voices claimed the deal was tied to how Tank performed in his previous outing, and that after a draw there would be a rematch on the horizon. Names like Lamont Roach even floated into that conversation. Whatever the precise sequence, the broader point remains: this exhibition didn't pop out of nowhere. It's the product of long-running conversations, shifting calendars, and the chase for the right weekend to own the sports conversation. Amid the hype, it's easy to forget what drives Tank. The people around him insist it isn't just payday hunting. They say he's about legacy and respect. He knows every appearance is scrutinized. Every post-fight quote becomes a headline. Every misstep becomes a meme. That pressure is why he's built a reputation for discipline and cold-blooded finishing. Even in exhibitions, he can't afford to coast. He expects to show the difference between a lifelong professional and a celebrity who picked up the sport. It's pride, not just payment. And yet, the visual tells its own story. The face-offs have become a running joke online. Jake towers over Tank. In photos and video, Tank almost has to lift his chin to meet the stare. It looks like two divisions separating them, because it is. That's the reason some commentators shake their heads and call this a no-win situation. If Tank blows Jake out, critics will say he handled a YouTuber. If he stumbles, they'll say he lost to a YouTuber. On the other side, if Jake wins, he beat a much smaller man. If he loses, the size excuse will sound hollow. In that sense, both men step into a reputational minefield where the safest exit is a clear, emphatic performance that leaves no room for debate. As for style, the expectations are clear. Jake will try to keep the fight long, jab from range, and line up the right hand. He's at his best when he dictates pace and gets you reacting to the threat of power. Tank will want to compress space, make Jake reset, and take his body. Timing and footwork should be the difference. Tank is a master at drawing mistakes and detonating counters. He'll look to make the bigger man's feet heavy and his hands late. Jake's key is to manage the entrances, clinch smart when exchanges aren't clean, and make Tank pay for crossing the line without cover. One overlooked element is the format. How many rounds? What glove size? Any catch weight notes? Those details matter in an exhibition. They alter how much risk each man has to absorb and how much time the smaller fighter has to work his reads. If it's short and brisk, the urgency ramps up. If it's longer, the skill disparity has more time to show. Either way, the first 3 minutes will tell you a lot. Watch Tank's feints. Watch Jake's reactions. If Tank is able to sit Jake down with a body shot or make him overcommit on the right, the momentum shifts rapidly. If Jake hurts Tank early or muscles him in clinches, the size becomes a story you can't ignore. The money conversation won't fade, and neither will the cultural one. Vargas touched it when he compared attention in boxing to attention in anything, from podcasts to movie premieres. If there's no audience, there's no payday. He even nodded to how something like the WNBA Finals can catch fire when the product is strong and the stars align. He mentioned being in the building, energy up, Floyd Mayweather in the crowd, edge-of-seat finish. That's what this exhibition hopes to bottle. If you can get casuals and diehards to lean forward at the same time, you've won the weekend. Not everything about this build-up has been polished. One podcast moment even veered into comic health advice. If the color on that bathroom trip looks off, call your doctor, before snapping back into the subject at hand. And yet, even those detours reveal how widely this event has spread. People who don't normally cover boxing are talking about Tank and Jake. That's the point. For better or worse, this is how the sport reaches beyond its base in 2025.